Headlines of VTV News. Updates on damage caused by storm Yagi. Top leader hosts ceremony to welcome Mozambican president. And Yagi, the strongest autumn storm in 75 years.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News. I'm Lena Fatman. Here's the top news of the hour. According to the Department of Dike Management and Natural Disaster Prevention, Storm Yagi and its subsequent floods have resulted in 59 deaths or missing persons. The breakdown is as follows: 9 deaths due to the storm itself, 44 from landslides and flash floods, and 6 from flooding. Additionally, 251 people have been injured. Heavy rain and rising flood waters are causing widespread flooding in Lào Cai, Yên Bái, Thái Nguyên, Cao Bằng, Lạng Sơn, and Bắc Giang. Lào Cai and Yên Bái provinces are the most severely affected, suffering the heaviest damage from the floods. Due to the impact of Typhoon Yagi, Phong Bridge, which spans the Red River and connects Tam Nông district and Lâm Thao district in Phú Thọ province, collapsed on September the 9th. According to initial reports, several motorbikes and cars have fallen into the river, but the exact number of vehicles and the extent of damage to people and property had not yet been confirmed. A witness said there were vehicles on the bridge, including a truck and several motorbikes, when the bridge collapsed. At the scene, 2 spans of bridge have collapsed into the Red River, causing traffic disruptions. Local authorities are working swiftly to address the incident. The Phong Bridge, inaugurated on July 28, 1995, was constructed using outdated technology. It features a steel truss structure and spans 375.36 meters in length. Now, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính just issued an official telegram on overcoming the collapse of Phong Bridge in Phú Thọ province and responding to the consequences of floods, landslides, and flash floods in the mountainous and midland provinces of the north. Upon receiving the information, the Prime Minister expressed his deepest condolences to the victims' families and shared in the hardships of those affected by the storm and floods. The Prime Minister assigned Deputy Prime Minister Hồ Đức Phước and leaders of the Ministries of National Defense, Public Security, Transport, and the National Committee for Incident Response, Natural Disaster Response, and Research and Search and Rescue to visit the site immediately to oversee the inspection and immediate implementation of measures to address the collapse of Phong Bridge, with a primary focus on rescuing victims of the bridge collapse. Moving on to Yên Bái province. Now, Yên Bái is experiencing a torrential rain. Many areas are severely flooded, particularly in Bản Mù and CHAU. Numerous roads have been heavily eroded, with Provincial Road 174 being the most affected. The risk of landslides is very high. On the night of September the 7th to the 8th, 5 major and 10 minor landslides occurred, causing traffic jams lasting 10 hours on the provincial road from Nghĩa Lộ to CHAU in Yên Bái province. Hundreds of cubic meters of debris, including large rocks, fallen trees, and mud, blocked the road. Last night, continuous heavy rain combined with the Red River rising above alert level 3 caused flooding on many streets in Yên Bái city. More than 500 officers and soldiers were mobilized to help evacuate people to safety. Lào Cai province is experiencing widespread heavy rain due to Storm Yagi's impact. On Sunday night, police and military forces coordinated with local authorities to evacuate thousands of people from areas at risk of landslides, low-lying regions, and flood zones to ensure their safety.
At 11 p.m. on September 8th in Sa Pa town, heavy rain flooded the roads. The town government and emergency services swiftly evacuated households from high-risk areas to a central shelter. Warning lines were quickly set up in the night.
We've urged residents to immediately relocate to safe areas to ensure their safety.
In other localities, Sapa Town has established checkpoints at all potential disaster risk areas, particularly for landslides and flash floods. The security team is on duty 24/7 at these locations to guide people and vehicles to safety.
We were divided into two groups to block vehicles from the landslide area and guide people across the iron bridge safely.
Known as the northern hub for cold water fish farming, Sapa Town has evacuated over 300 fish farming households from stream-adjacent areas prone to landslides and flash floods.
We request all cold water fish farmers to move to safer locations. We are determined to ensure that no households remain along the stream. Non-compliance will result in forced relocation. All forces should remain fully prepared.
In Lao Cai, the flood situation is evolving and becoming increasingly complex.
As of 9 a.m. Monday, floods and landslides in Sapa Town and the districts of Van Ban, Bakha, and Batsat in Lao Cai have killed 14 people. In Phin Chai, 2 village Alu Commune, Batsat district, 7 people died in a landslide at 3 a.m. Floods and landslides have damaged over 440 houses in Sapa Town and many districts. In Pho Tho, Simacai Town, 200 cubic meters of soil and rock have eroded, with the risk of another 1,000 cubic meters threatening 20 households with 77 people. Nearly 700 hectares of crops and 13 hectares of aquaculture ponds were damaged, and livestock and poultry were swept away. Infrastructure damage includes eroded roads, flooded bridges, and buried irrigation works. The total estimated damage is approximately $1.6 million. Now, Typhoon Yagi has passed, leaving unprecedented devastation across northern Vietnam, including the capital city, Hanoi. Amidst the calamity, the presence of the military has become a symbol of hope and resilience. Over 10,000 soldiers stand by to assist with recovery efforts, embodying their enduring spirit of service and dedication to the people.
From early morning, troops from the Hanoi Command were already at work in Thanh Xuan District, working alongside local forces to clear fallen trees and debris using specialized equipment. These areas remain dangerous due to the risk of additional branches falling.
Our division has mobilized personnel who, despite the challenging weather, have worked tirelessly to manage the storm's aftermath.
More than 10,000 soldiers from the Hanoi Armed Forces and other military units have been deployed. They have worked diligently to remove fallen branches, cut down trees, and clear debris, showing dedication as if they were restoring their own neighborhoods.
We have cleared the trees blocking roads, reopened major routes, and ensured that residents can continue their daily lives.
Preparations have been excellent in terms of planning, resources, and local deployment.
Despite the difficulties in traveling, the soldiers quickly helped clear the roads. Their efforts truly honor the legacy of Uncle Ho, and we are deeply thankful.
Typhoon Yagi has left behind severe damage. However, the humble yet heroic presence of Uncle Ho's soldiers shines even brighter. Their dedication and compassion bring comfort to the people during these challenging, stormy days.
Nearly 25,000 trees were uprooted across Hanoi. Heavy rain and strong winds damaged 6 motorbikes and 13 cars, knocked down hundreds of meters of walls and fences, and caused several homes to collapse or lose their roofs. The districts most affected by fallen trees are Hoàng Mai, Long Biên, Nam Từ Liêm, Gia Lâm, and Đông Anh. Relevant units are mobilizing personnel and equipment to clear fallen trees and broken branches. This work must be completed by September the 12th. Rare trees that need preservation will be relocated to nurseries for care by September the 15th. 2 days after Typhoon Yagi, many areas in Quảng Ninh province are still without electricity. This power outage has severely disrupted daily life and complicated recovery efforts. Residents are struggling to cope with the storm's aftermath as essential goods are in short supply and trading has become increasingly difficult.
At this market in Ha Long City, prices for vegetables and other essentials have surged over the past 2 days. The selection is limited, and some items are less fresh than usual.
Food is very scarce due to disrupted transportation. The rain has ruined many vegetables and fruits. We're left with older stock, and in a few days there might be nothing left to buy.
At this petrol station, hundreds queue for fuel, carrying multiple cans to power generators during the outage. The station itself relies on a generator to keep fuel pumps running and has all staff working round the clock.
We've been selling fuel non-stop from morning until night. The demand remains extremely high.
Several businesses and areas using generators are also assisting residents by providing phone charging services to maintain communication. Despite the ongoing difficulties, Ha Long residents are working diligently to clear the debris left by the storm, hoping to quickly return to normal life.
And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam dong is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, top leader hosts ceremony to welcome Mozambican president. And revitalizing coffee cultivation in the central highlands of Vietnam. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm and his spouse hosted an official welcome ceremony for visiting Mozambican President Filipe Jacinto Nyusi and his spouse in Hanoi on Monday morning. Following the ceremony, the two sides held talks. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm expressed confidence that the visit would further deepen the traditional solidarity and cooperation between the two countries. He believed that Mozambique would successfully hold the upcoming general election and continue to achieve significant progress in nation building and development. President Nyusi thanked his hosts for the warm reception and affirmed Mozambique's commitment to strengthening and developing multifaceted cooperation with Vietnam for the benefit of both countries and peoples. He also expressed sympathy for the damage caused by the typhoon Yagi and hoped that the Vietnamese government and people would swiftly overcome its consequences. Chairman of the National Assembly Trần Thanh Mẫn and the high-ranking delegation of the Vietnamese National Assembly met with officials and staff of the embassy and representatives of the Vietnamese community in the Russian Federation. The National Assembly chairman affirmed the consistent policy of the party and state to always care for and consider the Vietnamese community abroad as an inseparable part, in accordance with conclusion number 12 of the Politburo. As stipulated in the law on identification, all Vietnamese citizens are granted identification cards regardless of whether they live in the country or abroad. Additionally, in the revised land law, Vietnamese people living abroad have had their land use rights expanded. The National Assembly chairman hopes that the Vietnamese community will continue to preserve the Vietnamese language and national cultural identity, promote the tradition of solidarity, comply with local laws, and actively integrate in order to strengthen the Vietnam-Russian Federation Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and continue to contribute to the cause of national construction and development. In order to bring quality fertilizer products and advanced farming techniques to Lao farmers, Bình Điền Quảng Trị Joint Stock Company has recently transferred scientific and technical advancements to Phie Buôn Import-Export Company of Laos. After signing the agreement, Bình Điền will deploy CHAU fertilizer products to key agricultural areas in Laos. The company has also dispatched leading experts to Laos to study land, soil, and crop conditions. This research will enable the development of tailored fertilizer products for specific areas and crop types. At the same time, Bình Điền will create scientific fertilization and crop care processes to help Lao farmers enhance both the quality and yield of their crops. SD25 is a rice variety in high market demand, particularly in organically grown emission-reducing areas. Currently, during the peak harvest season, traders are purchasing rice at high prices for both domestic and export markets. According to business, rice prices are high due to a decrease in global supply, especially in the high-end rice segment. Specifically, the field price for SD25 is about $0.50 per kilogram. In linkage models, rice prices are higher depending on the consumption contracts between businesses and cooperatives. Provinces and cities in the region consistently maintain over 90% of their area for high-quality rice production. They support farmers in applying synchronized mechanization for both production and harvesting, while also increasing the adoption of standardized production models. In Đắk Nông, ethnic minorities are adopting a new approach to coffee replanting. This method cuts cost and time by utilizing innovative coffee varieties and advanced production technologies.
In Thuận An, Đắk Miêu District, Đắk Nông, over 100 hectares of 45-year-old coffee plants have been revitalized, sprouting fresh green growth. In just over a year, these fields are already bearing fruits, significantly faster than traditional replanting methods. This accelerated growth is due to the adoption of a new multi-stem coffee cultivation technique. It allows the trees to develop naturally, creating a canopy that shields the fruit from sunlight and helps retain soil moisture.
The company trained us to install drip irrigation systems, which use less fertilizer compared to traditional methods.
By avoiding chemical pesticides and integrating legume plants, the new method not only improves soil quality, but also increases income from the same plot of land.
I've learned more about coffee care techniques that don't involve harmful chemicals. I also get to work in the cleaner environment.
Our innovative replanting model has yielded uniform growth. In just 13 months, the trees are flowering and bearing fruit. We anticipate the yield to be twice that of traditional coffee, ensuring a quicker return on investment.
The Central Highlands provinces have also developed high-quality nursery gardens like TR4, TR9, and TR11 to supply farmers and businesses with coffee plants. Most replanted coffee farms now show significant improvements in yield and quality. About 50% of coffee in the region meets international standards like Fair Trade, 4C, and Rainforest Alliance, helping ensure sustainable growth in the coffee sector.
In celebration of the annual Vietnamese Language Day on September the 8th for the overseas Vietnamese community, the State Commission for Overseas Vietnamese Affairs under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs collaborated with Vietnam Television to organize an art performance event titled Words of Homeland, Words of Fidelity. The event highlighted inspiring stories about the dedication of Vietnamese people abroad in preserving the Vietnamese language in many countries, including Italy, Malaysia, Nepal, and the United Kingdom. Notably, 5 outstanding contestants who earned the title of Vietnamese Language Ambassadors Abroad in the Search for Vietnamese Language Ambassadors Abroad 2024 competition were honored at the event. These individuals exemplify passion and love for the Vietnamese language, serving as bridges between Vietnamese communities worldwide and their homeland. Honoring the Vietnamese language also means celebrating those who have worked tirelessly to promote its beauty in foreign communities. In Malaysia, Vietnamese teachers use music, melodies, and lyrics to inspire a love for the Vietnamese language in children from mixed families.
This is not merely a music class, but a Vietnamese language course taught through traditional children's songs from both Malaysia and Vietnam. Launched over a year ago in Selangor, Malaysia, the class has attracted 14 students, both in person and online.
I love this because I love singing.
I think Vietnamese is beautiful.
In a country where it's mandatory to learn 3 languages at school, the teachers have chosen music as a method to make Vietnamese lessons more engaging for students.
Teaching Vietnamese through songs and music creates a lively and enjoyable classroom atmosphere, making it easier for children to memorize new vocabulary and stay motivated. The melodious tones of the songs also convey emotions and sentiments effectively.
So right now, after the Vietnamese classes, they can converse in simple Vietnamese words. So I hope in future they can really speak proper sentences in Vietnamese and talk like a Vietnamese.
After a year of studying and playing, the children are eager and proud to be able to speak their mother tongue.
My daughter has been speaking Vietnamese more frequently and exploring Vietnamese culture more enthusiastically.
The Vietnamese songs have helped children appreciate the rich tones of the language and fostered interest in their mother tongue. This approach is crucial for exploring Vietnamese culture's beauty and maintaining a strong connection to their homeland.
Coming up next in our world news, Yagi, the strongest autumn storm in 75 years in China. And innovative wastewater recycling solutions in the Gulf region. China's Meteorological Administration confirmed that Super Typhoon Yagi is the strongest autumn typhoon to hit the country in 75 years. Yagi, the 11th typhoon to hit China this year, maintained Super Typhoon status for 64 hours, causing serious damage in many areas. Although Yagi has now weakened, its circulation could still bring heavy rain to some areas of Guangxi and Yunnan, posing potential risk of flooding, landslides, and urban flooding, according to the agency. After Yagi weakened into a tropical depression, Hainan province quickly began post-typhoon recovery activities, and many tourist, cultural, and sports sites have reopened. China's foreign exchange reserves rose to their highest level in nearly 9 years in August, according to official data released on Saturday. The reserves, the largest in the world, increased by $31.8 billion to $3.288 trillion last month, marking the second consecutive month of growth and reaching the highest level since December 2015. This increase is due to macroeconomic factors, monetary policy expectations, and a decline in the USD index. The stable performance of the Chinese economy also supports the reserve stability. Experts attribute the rise in August to the falling US dollar index, higher global financial asset prices, and positive effects from exchange rate movements and asset price changes amid expectations of potential US Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. South Korea will exempt military doctors from liability for damages caused by medical negligence. This decision aims to facilitate the work of military and public hospital doctors deployed to support understaffed emergency rooms. The Ministry of Health and Welfare stated that hospitals have signed agreements to assume responsibility for compensation in cases of medical negligence involving these doctors, with compensation amounts up to $15,000. Since September the 4th, 250 military doctors have been deployed to emergency rooms and medical facilities facing shortages. However, they have encountered many obstacles, causing some to refuse treatment or return to their units. Water scarcity is a growing global concern. In the Gulf region, wastewater has become a valuable resource that must be conserved. Some areas are striving to become wastewater-free, meaning all used water will be treated and repurposed for multiple cycles of use.
Al Nassim labor camp in Al Quain, United Arab Emirates, has long grappled with water shortages for its workers in the arid climate. Recently, an on-site wastewater treatment system was installed, transforming the once murky water into a clear, reusable resource.
A system like this can treat about 400 cubic meters of wastewater per day. That is enough to meet the water needs of about 2,500 to 4,000 people. The water quality is absolutely clean after being treated through a membrane filter system. If we filter it one more time with the RO system, the water will be drinkable.
Wastewater treatment and reuse technology isn't new, but it has improved significantly in recent years. Modern systems now employ biological microfiltration membranes instead of chemicals. These systems are compact and becoming increasingly cost-effective.
The advancement being ultrafiltration. We are able to filter out particles, including even bacteria and some forms of viruses, which means your treated water can come out with zero bacteria.
Because we do not use chemicals to filter the water, the sludge and residue from the wastewater treatment are used as fertilizer for plants.
The reuse of wastewater is breathing new life into desert lands.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.